You know, I get this question so often every single day. I haven't played the game in a long time. I'm returning to the game. I'm a beginner player. What class should I main for PvP? It is a beautiful Friday afternoon here in California, and I want to get out and enjoy the sun. So I'm going to shoot through this video rather quickly. I'm going to give you guys 2 DPS and 1 healer because that is about the ratio that you see inside of World of Warcraft, and not everyone wants to play a healer, and I have a lot of videos like that. So we're going to go through this video rather quickly, and I'll give you my reasonings behind my picks. Please take my advice when it comes to this because I am right 90% of the time, 100% of the time. Something like that. So starting with pick number 1, we're going to be going with the Warrior. The Warrior is a bread and butter staple of World of Warcraft. It's been around since the start of the game, and it's maintained its ranking as one of the better performing DPS classes in almost every expansion. Now, God, my transmog sucks. Now, the Warrior is an amazing class for starters because, number 1, it is a melee, and melee classes are the best classes you can pick when you're starting out the game because managing distance and range is a whole nother ball game that you should not have to learn when you're trying just to understand the basics of PvP. This class is very fun. It does a lot of damage if you're a BG hero. It's great when you have a healer behind you. It is involved in a lot of strong comps in the game. The only thing that you have to manage as a warrior really is your overpower stacks to increase your mortal strike, your rend, and your deep wounds. These bleeds are the only thing that you really have to manage in order to do damage. Now, the other thing that defensively that you're going to have to manage is your defensive stance. Please, if you're picking up this class, start the game out, the arena match out in defensive stance. Do not come out of defensive stance all the time. You're going to be coming out of defensive stance when you're ready to deal damage, your burst. Outside of that, stay in defensive stance. Don't be a freaking noob like 90% of the warriors at this low MMR. Stay in defensive stance, keep up your hamstring, manage your bleeds, and when you're ready to pop your burst, you can come out of defensive stance, get your Blade Storm going, get your Fury, your Rage Cap, pop your Avatar, your Warbreaker, your Big Damn, and it does a lot of damage. The one downside to the Warrior is that you have no self-healing if you're playing arms, which is the primary spec. If you are playing arms, like I said, stay in defensive stance and do not blow your die by the sword like it's candy. This is your only defensive next to Rallying Cry, which sucks booty cheeks. So die by the sword is a huge defensive for you, and you want to pair that with your trinket. You can trinket out of a stun if you need to and press die by the sword, and that should save you. But really, when starting out, all you have to manage is staying in defensive stance, saving your die by the sword until you're really in trouble, or pairing it with a powerful offensive CD from the enemy team, and then just managing your bleeds. You need to keep up your bleeds. That is the only complex thing about this class. Using your overpower to get this buff, to buff your mortal strike, it's built into the tooltip. Outside of that, your deep wounds comes from mortal strike, and it's rather simple. So this class is a great bread and butter class. It's strong in arena when paired up with the DK, and that will lead us to our next class. And here we are with the Death Knight. This is the next class that I would recommend to a lot of beginner or returning players. Both of these classes are melee. I don't recommend range because range involves a whole nother bunch of shenanigans that you don't want to deal with when you're starting out. No matter how much you want to, get the basics first. Listen to me, please. You'll do much better on a melee, and then you can transition later. The Death Knight is by far one of the most overpowered classes when it comes to 2v2s, and it's fairly or very strong in 3v3s, but that means, or we're referring to the Unholy spec. I don't mean Frost Death Knights, okay? Frost Death Knights blow Bukkake. The Unholy Death Knight is very strong, but you have to manage your pet, you have to manage runes, and you have to manage runic power. Outside of that, there are some little ins and outs of the classes that you won't pick up right away, but as long as you can, manage to deal damage for both the Warrior and the Death Knight, the most important thing that you should be worrying about when you're picking one of these classes is understanding how to deal damage. At low rating, outside of managing your defensives and your CDs, you have to know how to deal damage. If you can't deal damage, you're going nowhere. So if you can figure out how to deal damage, manage your diseases, and bam, those necrotic strikes. Necrotic strikes are the key here. With Abomination, you will climb just climb. Okay, you're just gonna climb, and I'll give you some examples or show you the proof behind the pudding. Yeah, here is a spec representation for 2v2s above 2200. These are, at this time of making this video, the top specs for 2v2s, and the season just started, and you can see that we have the Holy Paladin, the Resto Druid, pretty damn near even, and then for the highest represented DPS class compared to everybody else is the Unholy Death Knight. I mean, it's not even freaking close, man. The Death Knight is miles higher than all the other specs, and it's probably one of the easier ones to play. I've been playing with some people that just have PvE gear, and they have no PvP achievements. I found this one DK, and we were pooping on people just because he had gear and he played a Death Knight. So for Arena, starting out, coming back to the game, 2v2s are where it's at. It's going to teach you a lot about just how the game feels, class abilities. You'll get a sense of the pacing of the game. And if you're picking the Death Knight and you have no achievements, you're going to find groups much easier, or a healer much easier, than if you played a Fire Mage. No matter how bad you want to play a Fire Mage, you're not going to deal anywhere near as much damage as a Death Knight, because Fire Mage, regardless of what anyone says, oh, it's so easy to play Rogue Mage, then you do it. It's a lot more difficult to play a Mage than a Death Knight. There's no shame in picking a class to get your the wheels going, or the wheels turning, or get the juice, whatever. It's a lot easier to play one of these classes, and it'll help you learn the game, and then you can go on to play any other spec that you would like to play once you get a feel for Arena. And this leads us to the final class of the video, my recommended healer, my favorite healer of the expansion. It is the Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin, as you saw from that graph earlier, is one of the strongest healers currently in the meta. It is right underneath the Resto Druid, and it is very similar in its representation, but I've played both. I've been healing for a long time. The Holy Paladin, in my opinion, is a much simpler healer. You don't have to manage a lot of forms. It's a great beginner class. Although you might feel like, wow, I feel like my healing does nothing, you have to manage your CDs correctly. The Mistweaver, I would say, is a much easier healer. However, it is much weaker currently than the Holy Paladin, so I want to recommend you guys something that is strong and also easy to play. I'm not recommending you something that sucks, but it's easy to play. The Holy Paladin is very powerful, and there are a lot of resources out there when it comes to guides for the Holy Paladin. I actually have a guide on my channel that will be linked below. You can go ahead and check that out. And I will be updating a new Holy Paladin guide, but the previous guide should get you going. It's pretty simple to understand. Now, when it comes to deciding on what stats or what Azurite traits or essences you should go for when picking one of these classes, you can simply go to the Arena ladder. A link will be provided below. You can click on one of the top performing people for that class, go check out their armory, and you can just simply mimic what Azurite traits they're using, what essences they're using, what stats they have, or there's a nifty website that I can also provide for you that should give you some even further information. You can also head to thelootdistrict.com. I've talked about this website before. Head over to the PvP hub, and they have things for talents, honor talents, Azurite traits, essences for all specs and classes. It's super easy to use. A link will be provided below. But hopefully this video was helpful for a lot of you guys out there. If you found it helpful, you can let me know by giving the video a thumbs up. If you have any more questions, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. You can also catch me on my live stream to ask me all the questions you want there. The link will be provided somewhere here on the screen or in the info box below. If you're looking for your own personalized, inexpensive coaching when it comes to WoW, PvP, or Arena, the link to my Patreon page will also be on the screen, and it's the most inexpensive coaching you'll find anywhere, and that's a money back guarantee. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. So over time, what I've noticed in World of Warcraft is that people don't like getting in fucking voice anymore. It's just the hardest thing to try and get somebody to get invoiced when you're trying to farm some arena and even any type of PvE content, right? People don't want to get invoiced for high mythic plus keys. People don't want to get invoiced for arena when it comes to PvP. They're very shy, and if anything, they want to give it a few games before they get into PvP, but because you don't get invoiced, it's really freaking hard to communicate or know what cooldowns they have available. So this video is going to be a quick one. I just got done streaming and it's kind of late at night, but I want to put this video out there because this is an add-on that has really helped me a lot. On my stream, I'm doing a lot of free viewer carries and stuff like that, and when I'm playing with these people, I'm not getting invoiced with them because I'm not going to invite them into my call while I'm streaming for a bunch of reasons, and I don't know what cooldowns they have available. But recently there has been a lot of add-ons that have come out over the past couple months that try and show your teammates cooldowns. There's been Jax's party ability bars in its own form, and recently somebody showed me Omni CD. Omni CD has been a huge game changer for me, so this video is going to be about this add-on. It's going to be a quick one, and I'm going to walk you through the add-on and how it works. So I'll probably show some footage here on the screen, showing you some gameplay of how this add-on works, but I'll also show you a quick little tutorial on how to set it up. So number one is you're gonna have to go out and download Omni CD. It's a super easy install if you've downloaded any other add-on in the past. Just like all other add-ons, you go find it online, download it through the Twitch or /Curse client, and once you enable it, it's pretty much good to go. So once you enable this add-on, when you join in a group, you want to make sure that you're going to have your party raid frames enabled. So when you go in here, make sure that you're using raid style party frames. This is something you should almost always have when you are healing in PvE or PvP. And when you have those enabled, all you're going to do is join the group, and you'll instantly notice the add-on is working once you either enter combat or you enter a group. And it should look something like this. So when I go into my add-ons tab, you're going to see Omni CD here. I'm going to press test, and it's going to look something like this. This is where my raid frames normally are, and you're seeing that it's tracking my trinket, my PvP trinket, my bubble, and my blessing of sacrifice. Now, a lot of the base cooldowns, the important ones, are going to be tracked automatically, right? It's going to set up these frames in this exact same way, depending on where your frames are on the screen, your raid frames. It's going to tie these CDs right next to the raid frames to keep it nice and convenient. You don't have to set that up yourself. It automatically does that for you. Now, you can go ahead and add any other CDs that you want to add just by going through the spell section. This is very similar to Omni Bar or even any form of Omni CC that you set up. Omni Bar is a very similar layout to this in terms of the spells. You can go through all of the classes, and let's say for example I'm on my Holy Paladin and I want to track my Avenging Wrath. If I check this ability, boom, there it is with the timer included. So you're gonna know how long until your teammate has their wings available, how long till they have their bubble available, their trinket available, or their blessing of sacrifice, so you don't overlap cooldowns. This is a huge reason to why you are probably losing a lot of arena games if you're not getting into voice. And even in Mythic Plus, if you do not know when your healer has their CDs available, you might overpull, or you might go into a situation in an arena where you think you're safe when you're really not because you don't know what CDs they have available. It's going to change automatically based on the spec they're playing. It's not going to show you like in previous versions, like party ability bars. It would show abilities that they didn't have on that spec, but this one will automatically do it for you. It's an amazing add-on, and this is very similar to previous versions like I've talked about, just much more improved. Now, another thing that I recommend you check off, other than the major cooldowns that are already going to be there and any ones that you want to additionally add, I recommend all of you go ahead and track interrupts. And that just shows you how accurate the add-on is based on the talent selection and the spec selection of your teammates and your allies. So really short video here. I just want you guys all to go ahead and grab this add-on. It will really help you perform in arena if you're not able to get an invoice, because everybody and their fucking mother does not want to get an invoice nowadays for some reason, because they're awkward over the microphone, or you don't want to go in voice and this guy has a microphone from CompUSA from like, year 2005 and it sounds like absolute crap. If you go ahead and download this add-on, you can avoid all of that. And then if you end up liking the team because you are performing well in your first series of games, maybe then, hey, this guy's healing great, right? Maybe you're playing the healer and you are telling them to press this CD, or, hey, I was waiting for you to use your parry. He's like, wow, this guy's super aware. He knew what CDs I had. Then they get an invoice, and this is an easy ticket in to starting to improve your gameplay right out the gate, improving your awareness, and start tracking the important cooldowns that you already should be with just the help of a simple add-on. So I know this was a short video, but hopefully this was helpful for a lot of you guys out there. I think this add-on, once again, is so easy to set up that there's no reason not to install it. You can easily disable it once you get an invoice with them if you feel like you don't need it. Once again, you can test things out by just going to the interface tab and pressing test. You can check out the spells that you want to check off that you think are important, like tracking interrupts. I think is super important if you are playing as a healer with DPS or even your allies, so that way you don't overlap kicks, things like that. But if you guys have any other questions regarding this add-on, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I'd be more than happy to help. If you're looking for your own personalized, inexpensive coaching when it comes to Arena, I'd be more than happy to help, and you can check out my Patreon page somewhere here on the screen, and you'll find more info there. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.